The string lights twinkled softly above the garden as the speakers played SCA low in the background, the music mingling with the clink of glasses and occasional laughter. My 29th birthday had been planned for months. Every tiny detail, every cocktail choice, every sequin on my dress was intentional. I had worked too hard to make it perfect. The guest list was curated like a sacred text. Friends who were more like family, cousins who flew in from different states, and of course Malik, my boyfriend of almost 3 years. Or, as it turned out, someone else's part-time boyfriend. 2. He arrived an hour late. That was my first warning. Malik was never late to anything. The man treated punctuality like religion. But tonight, he strolled in like he'd just discovered time didn't apply to him. Like the world was moving at his pace and we should all be grateful he showed up at all. And he didn't come alone. She walked in first. I didn't know her, but every woman in the world knows her. You feel it before you understand it, like instinct or a muscle memory that lives in the gut. She was wearing red, tight red, the kind of dress that makes silence fall in crowded rooms. She was beautiful. Not beautiful like models or movie stars, but beautiful in the way men write songs about. Messy curls, lips with too much gloss, a laugh that seemed designed for attention. She was clinging to Malik's arm like she'd been there 1,000 times before. I blinked. For a second, my mind refused to accept the obvious. I told myself she might be his cousin, a coworker, some drunk friend who needed a ride. But the way her hand trailed down his back, the way he whispered in her ear like the rest of us didn't exist, that told the truth louder than words ever could. My stomach tightened, the kind of tight that makes your fingers go numb and your chest feel like it's folding in on itself. I caught Tasha's eye, my best friend since 3rd grade, and I saw her face freeze too. She moved to step toward me, but I waved her off. I wasn't going to cause a scene. Not yet. Malik had the audacity to kiss me on the cheek. "Happy birthday, baby," he said, like he hadn't just spit in my soul. I smiled. I smiled so wide it hurt. "Thanks, babe," I said, feeling my teeth grind behind the warmth in my voice. "You made it." He nodded and turned to introduce her, as if she needed introducing. "This is Sierra. She's a friend." The hesitation was insulting. She smirked. I swear to God, she smirked at me. Then she extended her hand like this was some kind of job interview. I shook it. Her nails were sharp enough to draw blood. "Nice to meet you," she said, dragging each word out like they were dipped in poison. "You too," I replied, every syllable a threat dressed as pleasantry. They walked in like nothing was wrong, like they were just another couple, and I watched my party become the stage for my own humiliation. But I didn't cry. Not yet. I didn't scream. I didn't throw wine. I stood in my heels and my glittering dress, and I smiled until my cheeks twitched from the effort. The rest of the night passed in pieces, in blurred images framed by pain. Malik acted like nothing had happened, danced a little, drank a little, whispered into Sierra's ear like I wasn't standing 10 feet away pretending not to break. People noticed. The room changed. My cousin Kayla caught on first. She whispered something to her boyfriend, who looked at Malik like he wanted to knock his teeth out. Then others started to murmur. Whispers slid across the room like wind through grass. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't alone. They saw it. They all saw it. And that's when something inside me snapped. Not a loud snap. Not a dramatic, fiery explosion. It was cold, calculated. Like something steel-hard had finally settled into place behind my ribcage. I looked at Malik and Sierra across the garden, standing under the fairy lights like a pair of villains in a low-budget soap opera. He was smiling, she was laughing, and my birthday cake hadn't even been cut yet. So I reached for my phone. I didn't even have to think about it. I opened Instagram, turned the camera to selfie mode, and positioned it just right. The party was behind me, golden lights twinkling, music humming in the background, and Malik with Sierra framed perfectly in the center. Close, too close. Lovers in a moment they thought was private. I smiled at the camera. "Never looked so real," I said sweetly into the mic, then turned my head just slightly. "Especially when your boyfriend brings his side chick to your birthday." I posted it before I could second-guess myself. I added a location. I tagged Malik. I made it a reel. I let the music play faintly in the background, Eza A still crooning about betrayal and broken promises. It took less than 5 minutes for the first 10 likes to hit. Within an hour, it had over 2,000 views. And Malik? Malik was still drinking champagne, oblivious. The moment I hit post, something in me breathed again. Not calmly, not peacefully, but with fire, with clarity. It was the breath you take after being held underwater for too long. That gasping, desperate inhale where your body remembers. It wants to survive. I stood in the middle of my own party, surrounded by laughter and music and betrayal, and I smiled like I hadn't just ignited a bomb with a tap of my thumb. The phone buzzed in my hand, once, then again, then in rapid staccato. Bursts like tiny aftershocks. I turned off notifications. Let the world watch in peace. I turned around slowly, my drink in hand, and rejoined the celebration like I hadn't just turned my heartbreak into content. Malik was by the bar now, hand on Sierra's lower back, whispering something that made her laugh and lean in closer. They didn't even notice the glances beginning to circle the room like vultures. They didn't see the phones being quietly pulled out, the whispers growing into stifled gasps. The shift in energy, like the house, had been hit with a pressure wave. But I did, and I reveled in it. Tasha walked up beside me, eyes wide but her voice low. "Girl, did you just post what I think you posted?" I took a sip of my drink and nodded. "Yes, I did. You're a savage." "No," I said, calm and even. "I'm tired." She nodded, her hand resting gently on my back. "You good?" "No," I said again. "But I will be." By then, the video had begun its journey. Friends were sharing it. Strangers were commenting on it. Some of Malik's mutuals, those guys who always liked to hang in the background of our life, had already seen it and were texting him. I could see it unfolding in real time. I could feel the social storm I had summoned crawling closer, faster than even I anticipated. Malik's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, then again, the second time more sharply. Then he looked up, across the garden, under the lanterns and laughter, his eyes locked with mine. Confusion painted his face first, then discomfort, then something colder, fear maybe, or fury. His jaw tensed, his body stiffened. He looked down again, opened something on his phone, and I knew the moment he saw it. His head shot up like someone had slapped him. Sierra leaned in to look at the screen, and I watched the color drain from her face like someone had pulled a plug. Her eyes darted around the garden like she was suddenly aware she was being watched, because she was. The whole room felt charged, electric, like it was holding its breath and smiling at the same time. Malik moved toward me quickly, with the pace of a man trying to fix a fire with water from a broken cup. "Can we talk?" he asked, voice tight, strained, like politeness cost him something now. I tilted my head. "Oh, now you want to talk?" "Not here." I looked around. "Why not? You seemed fine doing everything else here." Sierra stood awkwardly behind him, now, arms folded across her chest, eyes flickering between me and the other guests who had started to gather into quiet, curious clusters. The music still played, but it had lost its dominance. The party had become theater, and I was no longer the birthday girl. I was the story. "I don't think you understand how bad this looks," he said through clenched teeth. "No," I replied, taking another sip of my drink. I don't think you understand how bad this is. You didn't have to blast it online. You could have talked to me. You brought your side chick to my birthday party, Malik. There's no conversation that makes that make sense. Sierra finally stepped forward, her voice thin and brittle. Look, I didn't know he was still— Don't, I interrupted. Don't even try it. I've seen your likes. I've seen the comments. You knew. She flinched. Good. Malik opened his mouth like he had something noble to say, something redemptive, but no words came. He stood there, exposed and shaking with useless anger, and for the first time in our relationship, I wasn't afraid of his reaction. I wasn't worried about fixing anything. I was done. And in the silence between us, everyone else was watching, recording, whispering. Then I saw a moment that will live with me forever. My Aunt Denise, 63 and always brutally honest, walked up beside me, holding a slice of birthday cake on a tiny plate. She looked at Malik and Sierra and said, "Well, I hope she tastes better than this cake, 'cause this frosting's fake too." Someone burst out laughing, then another, then another. The whole tension snapped like a rubber band, and the room erupted, not in celebration, but in collective release. Malik turned red, then gray. Then he grabbed Sierra's wrist and muttered something I couldn't hear. They stormed toward the gate, retreating like fugitives. A few people booed. I didn't stop them, and as they left, I realized I had taken back something he had slowly stolen from me over the years. My voice, my power, my pride. But I wasn't done yet. Because it wasn't just about the video anymore. It wasn't just about a ruined night or public embarrassment. It was about the lie he built a home inside of, the way he'd made me feel small while he played two lives like a game. So, I decided to turn the next chapter into a lesson. And the world? Oh, the world was watching now. When the gate slammed behind them, it was like the universe pressed unmute on the party. I heard someone exhale like they'd been holding their breath for an hour, and music finally swelled back into the air, softer this time, almost reverent. People were glancing at me with a mix of admiration and disbelief, like I had pulled off something divine. I stood there for a second longer, finishing the last of my drink, tasting the bittersweet tang of pineapple and betrayal. My hand was still, shaking, but it wasn't fear anymore. It was adrenaline, alive and snarling beneath my skin. I didn't expect to go viral. Not like that, not so fast. By the time I walked back inside the house for a breather and checked my phone, the video had crossed over 18,000 views. The comments were multiplying like bacteria. "Girl, this is iconic. How are men this bold?" Not, "Him bringing her to the party. Ooh. You handled this with class and vengeance. Queen behavior." There were reposts, duets, stitches, people breaking down the video like it was a crime scene. Some were pointing out Malik's body language. Others were dragging Sierra's dress. A few even recognized him. It wasn't just social justice anymore. It was entertainment. I should have felt violated, but I didn't. It felt like the world was finally seeing what I had silently swallowed for months. No, years. The subtle disrespect, the disappearing for weekends, the "she's just a friend" text messages, the cold shoulder when I asked simple questions, the nights I stayed up crying, wondering why I wasn't enough. This wasn't petty revenge. This was a reckoning. I wandered down the hallway, away from the noise, into the guest room, and sat on the edge of the bed. My hands were still tight around the phone. I stared at it, at the numbers climbing higher. 21.7K, 23.2K, 25.1K. Tasha came in a moment later, closing the door behind her. "You okay?" she asked gently. I didn't answer right away. I just shook my head, slow and tired. "I think I will be, eventually." She sat beside me and didn't say anything else. She didn't have to. We'd been best friends long enough to know some silences mean more than speeches. Her hand found mine, and for a moment, I allowed myself to feel the grief beneath the fire, because it was grief. It was mourning something I had believed in, someone I had built a future around. Malik wasn't just a boyfriend. He was my plan, my hope, my someday. And now he was gone. Not in the quiet way relationships sometimes fade, but violently, publicly, like a building imploding in front of a crowd. There's a strange thing that happens when the betrayal is loud. You don't just cry for what you lost. You cry for how exposed it feels to admit you loved someone who could humiliate you this way. I allowed myself 5 minutes of raw sobbing. Tasha held me. My body shook with it. The glitter on my dress stuck to my wet cheeks. I hated that I still loved him even now. I hated that I ever let him touch me. But when the 5 minutes were done, I wiped my face with the inside of my elbow, sat up straight, and exhaled like I was shedding skin. I wasn't just going to survive this. I was going to own it. We came back out, and the party had shifted in my favor. There was laughter again, dancing, people hugging me like I had done something sacred. Even people I barely knew offered encouragement, one woman whispering, "That was brave as hell," before slipping me a mini cupcake and disappearing. And then the messages started. I got a DM from a girl named Nyla. She said, "Hey, I saw the video. I'm so sorry, but I thought you should know. I dated Malik last year. He ghosted me when I got suspicious, said he wasn't seeing anyone else. I didn't know you existed. I wish I had." I stared at it, and then another popped up. This one from Tony Moonchild. Your video? That man? Same exact story. I met him 6 months ago at a lounge. He told me he just got out of something serious, but he was ready to move on. Guess you were the something serious. Another. He was in my DMs last week. I ignored him. I thought he had a girlfriend. It was like a floodgate burst. There were at least 5 other women who messaged me that night, some with screenshots, some with photos. One even sent me a screenshot of his contact name, "Do not answer, Malik lying as." I actually laughed at that one, real, deep, from the stomach laughter. He wasn't a cheater. He was a serial cheater. A man so practiced at deception, he forgot how many webs he'd spun. Tasha and I printed the screenshots and taped them to the wall in my kitchen like a war room. We were tipsy and furious and laughing until we couldn't breathe. We made up nicknames for each girl. Screenshot. Sarah, Ghosted Gabby, Lounge Girl Nyla, Tony with the receipts. One of them, Camilla, even sent a voice memo. "I hope you go viral for this. He lied to me for months. Told me you were crazy, that you were his ex who wouldn't let go." The gaslighting was next level. I believed him, until now. I played that voice note 3 times. There was something holy in it. Proof I hadn't been paranoid, that my gut had been screaming and I just hadn't listened hard enough. By 2 a.m., the video was at 94,000 views. Side Chick at the Party was trending locally. I gained over 3,000 followers. TikTokers had started dissecting the clip, frame by frame. One girl made a reaction video in a bathrobe with a bottle of wine in hand. Another did a dramatic reading. Someone said, "This deserves an Emmy," but it wasn't the attention that mattered. It was the truth. Being seen. Being believed. Because for so long, Malik had made me question my reality. Told me I was overthinking, insecure, too sensitive. Made me feel like asking for loyalty was unreasonable. Like wanting honesty made me controlling. And now, the world saw what I had lived through. And they believed me. Loudly. I posted a follow-up the next morning. It was just a video of me in my robe, hair messy, skin still glowing from the makeup I forgot to remove. And I said, "Thanks for all the love. For those wondering, yes, I'm okay. No, I don't want him back. And yes, I will be hosting a thank you for playing yourself brunch next week. Mimosa bar included. Dress code, healing and petty. It got 1 million views in 12 hours. And then, Malik texted. Malik's name lit up my phone screen like a warning flare in the middle of calm waters. A vibration, then another, then a flood. Malik, can we talk? Malik, please. Malik, you're making this worse than it has to be. Malik, people at work are seeing this. Malik, you're ruining my life over a misunderstanding. Malik, you don't even know the whole story. I didn't respond. I just stared at the thread, blank-faced, as if the text itself was rotting fruit. Sour, familiar, pathetic. The nerve of him, the sheer audacity. After dragging me through deception and disrespect, after publicly showing up with another woman, like I was disposable, and now he wanted me to worry about his reputation? His job? His peace? He never once asked, "Are you okay?" Never once wrote, "I'm sorry for hurting you." He made it clear. He wasn't sorry he did it. He was sorry he got caught. I tossed my phone onto the bed and let it vibrate in the sheets like the lies were still alive inside it. Let him spiral. Let him sweat. Let him taste the smallest ounce of the shame he had drenched me in for years. Later that day, I got a message from someone I didn't expect. His mother, Mrs. Wright. "Sweetheart, I saw the video. I'm so sorry for what my son did to you. You deserved better. You always did." It broke me a little. Not because I needed her validation, but because she knew. Somehow, she knew. And still, I had kept quiet for so long. I let Malik's charm and manipulation silence me, make me smile through hurt, defend him when I shouldn't have, explain away the things I knew didn't add up. And here she was, offering me the empathy he never could. I replied simply, "Thank you. That means more than you know." The thank you for playing yourself brunch became real. It started as a joke, a funny idea in the haze of midnight revenge and group chat pettiness. But the more I thought about it, the more I needed it. Not just as a celebration of survival, but as a closing ritual, a boundary, a baptism. I sent out invites, real ones. Designed in gold and blush with cursive lettering, "Come celebrate the art of letting go, leveling up, and laughing at red flags." Brunch, mimosas, and healing served hot. No liars allowed. It was held at this rooftop cafe downtown that had white roses hanging from trellises and a mimosa wall shaped like angel wings. Tasha helped me plan it. Kayla brought handmade blocked and blessed party favors. There was a cake shaped like a red flag with "Girl, run faster next time." Piped in glittery icing. Over 40 women came. Some were old friends. Some were mutuals from social media who had reached out after the video. A few were even women who had also been cheated on by Malik. We hugged like war veterans, like we had survived a battle together no one else could understand. And that morning, as the sun glinted off champagne flutes and laughter filled the air, I finally felt free. I stood up near the center table, wearing a pastel pink pantsuit with gold earrings shaped like lightning bolts, and I gave a speech I hadn't written down. I didn't need to. Every word was already stitched into my bones. "I know this brunch looks like a petty victory lap," I began. "But the truth is, this is grief, dressed up pretty. This is what it looks like when a woman climbs out of heartbreak and decides to dance anyway." There were soft nods around the table. Some held hands. Others dabbed under sunglasses with napkins. We are not crazy for asking to be loved with honesty. We are not difficult for wanting consistency. We are not dramatic for demanding the bare minimum. What's dramatic is lying to someone who would have moved the whole world for you just to feel bigger than you are. They clapped. They cheered. I'm not broken. I'm just finished. Finished accepting less. Finished being quiet. finished giving second chances to people who use them as weapons. That moment rewrote something inside me, like an old narrative had finally been overwritten, like the old version of me, the version that waited for texts, that excused the disrespect, that stayed through tears, had finally been buried. But the story didn't stop there, because a few days later, the Shade blogs picked it up. Someone reposted my video with a caption, "Sis gets sweet revenge after boyfriend shows up to her party with a side chick. We're living for the energy." Then a gossip podcast called Dateline Damage did a whole episode titled, "When Side Chick Meets Spotlight, A Modern Betrayal." Suddenly, my DMs were full of women asking for advice, sharing their own stories, looking for courage. It overwhelmed me at first, then humbled me. Because what I did? It wasn't just a clapback, it was a mirror, held up to every woman who had ever been lied to and told she was crazy. It was a reminder that our pain deserves witnessing, that silence is not always strength, that sometimes going viral isn't about followers, it's about truth. Malik eventually posted a Notes app apology. Classic. I made mistakes. I hurt someone who didn't deserve it. I was immature and selfish. I hope one day she finds it in her heart to forgive me. I didn't share it. I didn't respond. I didn't want his redemption arc. That was his to earn, not mine to validate. Instead, I closed the app, lit a candle, and made a playlist called Healing in Hell No. Because I was done. Done explaining my worth. Done shrinking for people who couldn't handle my whole truth. Done with men who think they can build empires on broken hearts and walk away unscathed. And in the quiet after the storm, as my birthday month came to an end, I finally felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. Not the kind you find in silence, but the kind you fight for, the kind you earn, the kind you become.